very twisted mind thinking. It's not even thinking, it's just a tendency. Those people stopped to think long time ago. They think they are doing very noble work, but if you don't see a person, if you're lost your sensitivity, that you don't understand that you are giving service to people. They can make mistakes, doesn't matter. And the question if the kid is vaccinated is not even that question, is not right. You can say, if your child is not vaccinated, I think that it will be appropriate if you do it. Thank you very much, bye. That's not your business if they're vaccinated or what do you do. If I want to share it with you, I will come and share it with you. That's working with dignity, in my humble point of view. So that's what I think. I think it's common sense. I'm not coming here to tell you like you have to study all that stuff. It should be very basic. So they're not going to take the children totally, but if you're asking if they're going to take them to do that, again, it's not happening in the hospital. It has to be, they have to go to court. Vaccinations are preventative medicine, all right? That's the definition. It should prevent a problem. So it can never be, I'm saying, by the way, that the courts in Israel, according to the law, doesn't have even the right, after I studied it very, very deeply and fundamentally, and I checked it from all the angles. I've been dealing with this for years. I'm telling you, the bottom line, and also reading many jurists that wrote about this thing. The law that actually allow, there is not a law, there is one clause within the law, only one in all of the laws in Israel that talks about medical coercion, the court can impose, and it built in a way that it's made for only very, very, very unique few cases. So that has to be like really, really complicated route that the government or the DA had to go in order to, at the end, that the court will say such a harsh decision. It's very tough. It says against your rights, or even not right, your will, the parent of the guardian, or even if there is no guardian, that could be also an option. And the doctors think that something should be done, and nobody is opposing anything. Still, the route is very, very tough. Very, it's not easy. That the court has to consider many things, and then, very in rare cases, say yes, okay, this will be helpful. It will save life. It has to consider even what, even if he cannot hear the person, what he would think. He has to be very, very careful before he make a decision. But when it comes to vaccination, for some reason, the judges are saying, well, yes, it is a medical procedure. We cannot deny that. We cannot get away from that. But this is a different one. It's recommended. Once it's recommended, well, it's a different story. Why? I don't know why. Do they have the right to say that? No, definitely no. They don't have the right to say that. They have to be abiding the law. That's what the judge should do. Make sure the law is being fulfilled. So the law is good, but it doesn't, they ignore it, and they actually said, no, because it's recommended, everybody that doesn't want to do it, every parent, you have to convince the court why not to do it. This is totally new invention. I know how people are going right now to fight against to diminish the power of the Supreme Court or court altogether. Do you want to protect that kind of tendency? Do you want to protect that kind of court? Because I surely don't. All right, so let's keep that. Yeah. Okay.
So from that information there, if we could take our child away and not let them do anything else, and they can't stop us.
Okay, so I have to say, first of all, they will not do something. Firstly, they will have to go to court. It will take them, in the least case, hours. Normally, it takes a day or two. And if you put lawyers in place, and I will give you some names or numbers if you want, Then once you have the cavalry behind you, then they will treat you differently. They know that they cannot mess with us so quickly, so easily. But we don't have to be worried from that too much. However, I already said in Hebrew, I'll say it in English. When you come to the hospital is an important place, definitely for emergency stuff, or just to make sure that you don't have an emergency or infection coming, whatever. A wound is a wound. We don't want to throw them away, even though if we can work with sane doctors that are private, even better. If we can bring the hospital to our place, like moving hospital, there are some initiatives lately. That's good. You don't have to go to that place with all these infections around and everything. However, you have to remember, you are not going to a regular place. This is not the country you live in. This is like Vatican in Rome. This is a country within a country. They have their own rules. They have their own thing. They think they're helping people and saving their lives. And from some reason, or from that reason, some of them are committing the sin of playing what they're not supposed to be. Play God, play the ruler, play. You have to listen to me, the doctor. I think there is no anva. There has to be, they need to change their mindset, and they will come, the day will come. And also many people like you are now voting, what we say in Hebrew, voting with your legs. You're not coming, you're not going, you're not participating. And they don't get the same loyalty, or how do you say it?
Compliance.
Not in compliance, but to trust. They lost the trust. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so that's, remember that, and then play the right game. I mean, if they want to, you know that you can get in trouble if you say, oh no, we know that vaccination is not that great, we don't want it. That's it, you're done. You are now marked as the bad guy. It depends on who is in front of you, but if you are in the wrong hands, that's it. The snowball starts to run, and I'm telling you, it's not a nice sight. It's really hard to stop it and to maneuver it. So just play the game and say, of course, just 2 weeks ago we had one, or the last time he got wounded, I remember we got one. It's no problem. But if you look like the person that will comply, that will work with the system, it's funny that I have to say that. I'm a lawyer, for God's sake. I should tell you, just tell them the truth. It's none of your goddamn business. And thank you very much for the advice, and let's move on with our lives. Now, if I would dare, and I would be talking like that, even if the other guy would be, or a woman would be insulted a little bit, I would say, hey, how dare you? I said, I'm a lawyer, I know the law. And they will be backing off, normally. So it really depends on how strong and how skilled you are with your understanding and the message that you're delivering. They normally go after the Haradim, the people with no money, the Em Chadori, the single mothers. It's very easily vulnerable. It's very easy to tackle with those people and to put yourself above them, and that's very unfortunate. If I would have told you the stories that I've been involved with, even some of them here in Jerusalem. Normally I'm on the phone and I'm talking with the cop, or talking with the social worker, and they're outside of the door. Some crazy stuff, like what? If every parent would say, if I had known, I would never go there. I would never be, I'm jeopardizing my kid, that he will be getting something more than I want him to get, because I took him there. How crazy world is that?
So you mentioned that you have the right, the law behind you, you know what they can or cannot do, which gives you the stability to stand up and tell them to, as you said.
To back off,
Back off. So is there anything that we could carry or have on our person to give to nurses or doctors or anybody to communicate with them, that they would know that we know what our legal rights are?
Sure.
If the lawyer's not available at that time.
No, the law is available. I've seen in the hospital that they have almost in every floor for sure, I think in every department even, they have what they call חוק זכויות החולה, which is the patient rights law, and in the fourth section is talking about informed consent, and that's more than enough. If you tell them, listen, you're starting to pushing me about some kind of treatment, I don't want to get into that too much, but anyway, you have that law, you should read it, because I have the right to give the consent or to not give it. But again, this is if you think you're strong enough to push them away. As I said, the easy way to go is just say, no, oh yeah, vaccination, of course, the best thing that the medicine ever gave to humanity. Sure.
What about PCR tests?
We have,
Yes, what about them?
If they ask us to do PCR tests, we don't want. We can't say, oh, I did it last week.
No, that's a different story. Again,
a good question.
it's not on the table right now.
Well, I know somebody who had
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, where,
Yes,
when?
my husband was just hospitalized at Shari Tzedek, and they almost forcibly did a PCR test, and I stopped them. And then when I stopped them, they said, "Oh, are you the ones who didn't get vaccinated?" So my husband, who was so weak, could barely eke out a word, said, "My body, my choice." And then I said, "You had no right to ask that." And then the doctor became very hostile towards us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is not a new story. I've heard many of them. Yes.
okay, so
So,
we have time for one question at this point under medical, before we move on.
Is that
On the
medical?
table.
Do you want to ask that, or blood transfusions, consent? I know some hospitals did it.
Yeah, it's like this. We have a friend who can't speak anymore, and he had a blood transfusion, and his wife had to give. She didn't give a consent. They just done the blood transfusion without saying anything.
okay, so the law doesn't let them do it like that, unless, again, there are if the law talks about different
So
situations.
he was like his hemoglobin
Hemoglobin was very
down,
low. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so but they didn't say anything to her, and they just done it.
Yes, if they think that they can save somebody's life that is in real danger, it's like life-threatening situation on spot, then again, there has to be 3 doctors if possible.
But this was not emergency.
If it's not emergency, then of course it's not right. Of course it's not right. But that's also connecting to everything I just said today, that these many of the medical people, teams, and medical care, the people that work in medical care, and they are losing their focus and their dignity and the anva and forgetting whatever. And I think it's very important to everybody that has to be sensitive, that to understand that if it's not, it's the consequences are going to be significant to somebody else. So that's what it is. It's not okay, she can sue, but normally I'm kind of a lawyer that's trying to deal with everything, that I'm trying to prevent bad things to happen. So when something bad happened, I can assist with that as well in compensation a bit, but it's not my field. I work with other people that really this is what they do. But for me, it's just as much as I can try to prevent. Every time I'm getting a call from like a woman, that woman a few days ago, it's really hard also for someone like me, like helping people. I'm trying to help the kids. The kids didn't do anything to anybody, and I'm helping the parents, but I'm focused on the kids, and I say just sometimes like, how can those people on the other side, even if they think they do something good, you want to coerce it, right? You want to really push it on somebody. You really believe that this is so important that they are in life-threatening situation. You definitely have to at least open in Google, write tetanus משרד הבריאות, okay, the health ministry tetanus, because they have page for every disease, and read. When in the last 20 years they didn't see any tetanus, so it doesn't happen. It's not around. Yeah, so even if it is very dangerous, if it's so rare, definitely it's not something to push and to coerce. People don't think of what they're doing, and everybody, each and one of them, I try to read Mesilat Yesharim lately, to remind myself, like he's trying to remind himself, that nobody's going to run away to be get away from judgment on everything you do in life. You can also be in judgment by people, judged by people. But that's not the important thing.
Yeah.
They're dealing with other people's life, emotions, freedom. I mean, we are in the Jewish state. I'm not wrong, right? I didn't took the wrong flight, right?
So we'll move on to, under the home category. If the police come to our door, do we have to open it, or can we speak to them with the door closed? What are?
That's a tough question to ask, because the laws are changing here so dramatically, so quickly. According to the law, without the samchuyot, okay, now which is the new addition, but according to the law, until recently, you have to have a warrant. You cannot just go into somebody's house. Now there is a change with that if for some kind of suspicion of illegal activity.
As long as they
I mean, legal activity was already in the law, but illegal activity, but now it's even without it in some situation. Very, very tough, but I would say if you cannot open the door, don't open the door. You don't have to do them a favor. Even if they're allowed to go in, so let them break the door, let them do, it takes more time. And meanwhile, you can maybe make sure that the kid is going away from another way, and I've seen it happen. This is insane. We're in the democratic country, we're talking like we're now, like really, it's like, yeah, kind of a joke, but it's not. It's not, unfortunately, it's not a joke. But so I would say it doesn't matter what it says, and the laws, again, has to be respectful to us, and human rights. I want to also say that human rights are basic rights that we have, the main of them, because we're the sons and daughters of God. It's not that you get it from other people, from the institute that calls this corporation that calls the country. Only it's artificial. It's just we get it together, and we give it some names, and we give it some and we choose people to do stuff, to manage stuff. They are public servants. They need to serve us. They need to serve society, and not be public masters. All this stuff is basic stuff. It's obvious, and my right on my body is my domain, with all due respect to anybody else. And definitely, if anybody else wants me to treat him the same way, right? Then think carefully about what you are requiring from me, because then I can also push some other stuff on you. You want me to put mask on my head, I want you to put something on your head or on whatever. It doesn't end. And people they forgot it. So human rights we get from God. So my right for privacy in medical decision, my right for free choice. Yeah, so.
Okay. Do the police or child protective services have, if they have a warrant, can they remove the children from your home? Is there something that can?
They have the warrant.
If they have a warrant.
Yeah, as I said, even if they don't have the warrant now, because there is kind of a change in the law. Again, it's still related to times of emergency, which is like what we have supposed not to have already. But I want to emphasize this. This is a question that if you're in the right mindset, you will not get to that situation, because if the cop's already in your door, that means that you ignored some important signals on the way. I mean, it doesn't start with the cops. It starts with you went to the hospital, you went to the clinic, and you had some kind of an issue with them, and you took your charge and went away. At that point, I would already call a lawyer and just make sure, to see what's going on, to be in focus. And then you will probably get a phone call from the social worker. It's not just they're going to show up, not normally. So yeah, we're not supposed to get to the point that the cop is on the door. But I'll also manage to stop here in Jerusalem. And by the way, because they were afraid, the police were afraid that because of the Haredim, if they're going to take the child for vaccination, just take the vaccination and give him back, you know?
Yeah.
I many times I say that it's like the way it works, it's like washing machine. They pull you in, you get turned, you know, and squashed and squeezed, and then they throw you out, and then the next couple, the next parent. It's just that they're not interested to make your life miserable. You just went to the wrong place in the wrong time. You said the wrong things, and now they have to fulfill their own
They have to
understanding, which
intimidate
is
you.
It's the
They
system.
have to intimidate you.
exactly. But that's why they see that they're doing
Yeah.
good in reality. That they really believe they're doing good. And then once they're done with you, even if they fail or even if they succeed, they move on.
Yeah.
Forget about you. So
Are we still under the emergency regulations, do you know?
yes,
Yeah.
we are. It was extended because, as you know, there is a tiny thing running around on the streets among us. This tiny thing cannot be seen only under a microscope after a lot of manipulations, a very, very strong microscope, not a regular one. And it is not really alive because it doesn't move. It has to have a host. But this thing that theoretically exists may jump on you, a healthy man, a healthy woman, and do a lot of damage to you by multiplying itself like whatever. So we need emergency rule. I'm sorry guys, it's really dangerous what we are facing right now. It's all cynical, yeah, if somebody okay, there isn't anything like that. By the way, check the work of Andrew Kaufman. Maybe he's a Jewish guy because his name sounds so Jewish. And also Tom Cohen, but I don't think he is Jewish. Not sure.
Cohen, it's C-O-W-A-N.
Yeah. And Sam Bailey, she's from New Zealand, and her husband, Mark Bailey, I think. Samantha. I hope you are familiar with those names, and if you're not, ask your friends some who are familiar. And I think our children and grandchildren already will know the truth, that this whole virology thing is just based on, this is not science, there is no science behind it.
Okay, we have time for a couple of questions under this category before we move to the next one. This is under home. Who has, raise your hand. You have a question that would fit under anything happening in the home.
I have a question.
Yes.
But it doesn't apply just to a home, it actually applies to a building that receives city funding. It's a Malon Holim, where it's independent living for senior adults. And you can live with them at the or without, completely independently, but there's no communal meals or, there are gatherings from time to time, but
Sounds nice.
those times kvar. The point is that this building exists, and because they receive city funding, I'd like to know if there are obligations on the part of the people who live there. There's an aim by 24/7 reachable in the building. There's no medical care within the building, but if it's required, the aim by can look after it, that sort of thing. So the question that I have is, can anything be imposed on those of us living in such a building?
Okay, that's a good question because I think the answer is valid for many, many other situations as well. Okay, you're asking me a very profound, fundamental question. Does our basic human rights can be conditioned to circumstances or to a certain time? My point of view, absolutely not. Okay, my body is my domain, doesn't matter when and how, and this is as long as I'm here. And society cannot impose things that it's very easy. If you want to know where are the borderlines, we have the Torah. It's very basic. If you don't want people to do stuff to you, not particularly what you're trying to impose right now, but if you are imposing something on somebody's body or somebody's privacy, then your privacy or your body could be diminished in something that you wouldn't want. So that's very easy to know how it's supposed to be. So I don't think so. I don't think it doesn't matter who funded or not funding it. And when the city hall is funding something, again, they're doing their job. They're not giving presents to anybody. We're entitled to get. That's why they exist. We don't need them to be existing unless they are serving a purpose. That's why the principle in law that the country or everybody from any authority can only do and make an active, to do something, only if it's ordered to do it. They don't have their own initiative on concept. They should not have any initiative of their own. They should not protect us, for instance, from ourselves, which is crazy what's going on. They're saying, you need to do something and we will force it on you because then we will save society. I want to emphasize something here, it's very important. I don't think there could ever be contradiction between an individual and a society in terms of human rights, because society is combined from individuals. That's what society is. There is no other attribute to my point of view. And thanks. And if something is bad for an individual, then it's bad for society. Don't tell me that, no, I will put a mask on you, or you have to get a shot, and you have to do it because it serves a purpose for the society. If I don't think it serves purpose, or I don't feel that it's the right thing for me, that's not the right thing for society, for sure. And we have to understand that what kind of a society we want. A respectful society. It can only happen if we get respect from others, then we will give respect to others, and not this whole coercion thing. So as I said, even the fact that we are gathering together and live in the same place and trying to work with each other, that's fine. Doesn't give any extra right to go under our skins literally. No, there are some borderlines that we are together, we want the best for each other, but if you are afraid of disease, if you're afraid that I can sneeze on you and that will hurt you, then put as many masks you want on yourself. You can also stay away for a while. It's up to you. There are dangers all over the place, with all due respect. Come on, don't try to tell me, oh yeah, now you have to guard me. No, you have to be responsible for yourself. Yeah. Hopefully this is a good answer for wider, yeah.
So we had another question back here.
Yeah, I don't know how relevant this is, but I went to Kupat Cholim to get a blood test, and the lady said to me, you have to get vaccinated. So you have to consult with your doctor. And she insisted, and I said, no, I don't think I want to get vaccinated. Does that mean that I'm already identified?
Identified.
Yeah, I'm identified by the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Coming.
Well, I see. There is this thing that's called medical record. Now, I don't want to waste too much time on this. I don't know how much time we have. For me, it's okay. But this whole medical record thing, also the law of Israel, because I'm not qualified in I'm not wasting too much time to study other nations' laws. I'm focused on the Israeli ones. It's very tricky. If you have a medical record, and what does it mean, medical record? Well, the doctors and nurses, they saw something important enough to put on your chart, so if somebody else sees it, or from the medical staff, that will be beneficial. That will help them to make decision to do some good stuff for you. Now, so far so good, but when we started to look, me and my colleague once, was a long time ago, well, how can I delete it? If there's some stuff I don't want it, it's not relevant anymore. It's just not relevant anymore. I'm not talking about now something that could be a dispute, and by the way, why would there be a dispute? Even somebody have let's go even to a more extreme situation. Somebody has mental problems. You maybe it's beneficial to the system to know it, to the teams to know it. But even if it is beneficial, we're talking about the person right now. So that's something on the edge. So maybe we can make to discuss about it. There could be ways here and there. But let's put any other. If you were you had a flu a few years ago, you don't want it to be on your record right now. Why wouldn't you have the right to do it? So I'm not saying it's first. I cannot say it's possible. I haven't found in anywhere in the law that is possible to delete. There are many ways we can manipulate it, because you can put a mark on the mark, a note on note, something like that. And I don't want to get into wider resolution. I just want to say that this is crazy. I mean, the system doesn't need to collect information on us if we don't ask for it. That's the way I see it. Again, we are in a situation that the world around us and the way that the systems work, it's just the way it is, and it was developed in many ways while I think the majority of the people were asleep, not asleep, but just oblivious about it. I think that's the right word, like don't care about it so much. And now we are starting to wake up and see, oh, that could work against us, so we want to get awake. And then you ask a good question, and we have to think about that stuff, and we have to demand more than anything else. We have to demand that things will change, because they're not allowed to even ask you or tell you what to do. And you know what? Even if they ask you and you told them, I'm not vaccinated, but that was like 3 days ago, that's it. It was already history. Nobody knows where you are right now. Your medical condition is relevant to the point in time every time that you look at it. So even if you told somebody before, oh, I don't want it, I haven't done it, doesn't mean that in the time that passed since then, you haven't changed your mind, and doesn't mean that you have to explain. So I will just leave you with one last note about it. People tell me, if they ask me if you're vaccinated, you don't want to be rude either. It's a very tricky situation. My advice is always to say, or it's the kid, is she vaccinated or is he vaccinated? After they treat them and give them some stitches, whatever it is, okay, then there comes the question. And a nice answer to say is that they are vaccinated to everything that is necessary. And that's because I don't like to lie.
Covers it.
And there might be the other side that say, why are you trying to be sophisticated here? So I understand you're not. But I already heard that many times the other side, because they're not that smart, and they're looking to hear the right answer. So if you don't give them an answer that is totally wrong, sometimes they say, okay, that's good enough for me. So you probably don't want to say that you're vaccinated. You're afraid to say you're a vaccinator in the closet. So.
But isn't the vaccination on your medical record? Don't they already know?